Hey everybody, this is Stick. Today I just want to do a little video and kind of discuss sleeping pads. I'm actually going to do this video in two parts. Reason being, the first part, which is this part, I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the differences between your closed cell pads and your open cell pads. And then in the next part I'm going to go over some of the sleeping pads that I actually own and kind of talk about some of the details that are more specific to the specific pads. So like I said, in this first part I just want to talk about open cell versus closed cell. Just kind of give you some things to think about whenever you decide to go and purchase a pad. Things that I didn't think about when I first started backpacking. To be honest with you, I didn't know that there was really a difference between the two. Now over time I realized that there is a difference. I will go ahead and say that I'm not a big expert or anything like that. This is just, I'm doing a video and I want to discuss some of the things that I've kind of learned about each of them. And just kind of give you some things to think about if you decide that you want to buy one or the other. Which if you buy a pad, you're going to buy one or the other. So, just to kind of get started, I just kind of want to give an example of both. Whenever they say open cell pads, they're going to be talking about something similar to this. This is just a pillow, but what I'm getting at is it's got air inside it. This is not a closed cell pad. It's open cell pad. There's air inside it. That's basically what an open cell pad means. A closed cell pad is something that you don't blow air into. It's just a piece of foam. So that right there is your difference. You got a closed cell pad and an open cell pad. There's your differences right there. Took me a while to get that. I don't understand why, but it did. So now I'm here to tell you about them. Now there's a couple of things that you might want to think about whenever you go and get a pad. First off, you want to think about your heat. If you're going to be using a pad, well, let me just kind of back up just a little bit. I just want to go ahead and say right off the bat that there's a lot of different variations of both of these pads. You can get open cell and closed cell. There's so many different variations that it's kind of unrealistic actually. With the closed cell pads, you can actually buy this stuff as a pad at Walmart or other stores, or from what I've heard, you can actually even buy it off of a big huge roll, and they cut so many lengths or however many feet of it that you want. They'll cut it and they'll sell it to you. Also, another thing, it comes in different thicknesses. This piece right here is about 3/8 of an inch thick. I got this at Walmart, and I actually believe this pad here, or the rest of the pad that was attached with it, when I bought it, I want to say it was about $7 at Walmart. But there's different thicknesses. There's different thicknesses to your air pads, as well as different types of insulation that's inside them. Get you in all different kind of ranges. They use, even like your sleeping bags with your air-filled pads, they still use synthetic insulation and down insulation in some of the mats and stuff. So there's a lot of them out there, and if you're interested in it, that's just the thing you want to think about. Is if you're thinking about one that's just a piece of foam, that's going to be a closed cell. If you're thinking about one that's got air in it, that's going to be an open cell. So saying that, there's different pads that cover loads and loads of different temperatures and comfort levels. So when I'm comparing these, I'm not necessarily saying one is better than the other or vice versa, but I'm just kind of saying in general. So now that I said that, I would like to start off by saying there's two different ways to look at these, or with these pads, they hold their heat two different ways. With a closed cell pad, when I lay on these cells that make the pad up, they're all stuck together, so they're not going to go anywhere. So if I'm laying on this pad and I heat it up, when I decide to roll over in the middle of the night, which I usually do, I don't typically lay on my back all night, I usually toss and turn, but this pad is going to stay heated up when I roll around. The pad is not going to, it's not going to all of a sudden get cold because I moved off of it. Now the thing is with the air pad is that an air pad has the potential to do that. Air pad, all the different little molecules and cells inside the air pad, as I'm laying there for about an hour and a half, because I don't really lay still for very long, as I'm laying there, those cells that are up close to my body, they heat up because of my body heat. But now there's still going to be some cells that maybe that are below it or around it that aren't quite as warm. If I move around, those cells are going to move around inside that pad, and there's the possibility that actual cold spot could form. Simply because some of the colder cells have moved in to where the warmer cells were, and I have to reheat part of the mattress again. So that's basically the very, very basic understanding of the way an open sail and a closed sail pad will actually hold its heat and what it does with its heat when you move it around. Now that you kind of got that in mind, I want to talk a little bit about price. In general, you're going to be able to find a closed sail pad for cheaper than you can an open sail pad. I would say that that's probably got a lot to do with the fact being that this is just a piece of foam. There's not a whole lot of technology involved in this. This is just a simple piece of foam. They cut it however long you want it, however wide you want it, however thick you want it. They give it to you. You buy it. With this right here, there's a lot of different factors put into it. First off, you have to think about sewing them, or you have to think about the actual material that's going to be used. If there's going to be an insulation inside of it, you're going to think about what kind of insulation. Is it going to be a synthetic fiber? Is it going to be a piece of foam? Also, you got to think about sewing this stuff up. You got to think about valves. You got to have just one valve that lets air come in and lets air go out, or you got to have a valve that lets air go in and then another valve that lets air go out. There's just a lot of different thoughts that are put into air inflated mattress. And whenever all that thought comes in, hopefully that's going to provide you with more comfort. And as everybody should know, this day and age, you pay for comfort. You pay for convenience. So in general, your air-filled mats are going to be probably a little more pricey than some of your closed-sail foam pads. Also, another thing to think about is use. Whenever I take this closed-sail pad to my campsite and I decide that I'm ready to set up my tent and I'm ready to call it a night, I can just take this, I can unroll it or unfold it or however it is that it's packaged, and I can throw it inside my tent on the ground. I can throw my sleeping bag on it and it's good to go. If I take an air-filled pad, I'm going to have to actually put a little bit of effort into getting it ready so that I can use it. Now, like I said, it's an air-filled pad, so that means I'm going to have to get air into it. Most typically, there's 2 ways of getting air into it, maybe 3 ways. First way is self-inflating. That's basically by saying that there's a piece of foam inside of a airproof lining. That piece of foam, of course, it compresses. That's why you can make it down small. But what that does is when you open up the valve on that self-inflating pad, that foam is going to start to kind of expand. And as that foam expands, it's going to pull air into it. That's a self-inflating pad. Another type of pad is a pad that you have to actually pull the stopper out and you have to blow into it and fill it up. And then there is another way. Some pads have they have pumps built into them, and I'll kind of get into that a little more on the next video. But anyway, so that's something that you need to think about is are you going to feel like putting a lot of effort or even just a little bit of effort into getting your bed ready whenever you get to camp. Another thing to think about is pack size. Whenever you buy a closed sail pad, you're not going to be able to compress this thing down. You're just going to have to roll it up or fold it up however it comes, and you're going to have to deal with it. Chances are with a closed sail pad, you're going to be storing it on the outside of your pack. The only thing that I can think about, and I found this out the hard way, that you would want to take into consideration when doing this is that if you use a rain cover on your sleeping or on your backpack and you've got this big huge pad on the outside of it, you're going to have to make sure you get a rain cover that's big enough to cover the sleeping pad as well as the backpack. Now, you don't have to consider that so much with an air-filled pad, because with an air-filled pad I can pull this little plunger here, let the air out, and I can squeeze it down and I can roll it up real small. It'll fit inside my pack. I can just shove it in the corner inside my pack, so I ain't got to worry about it. So that's another thing. Just the other couple little things you can think about using these is you don't feel so bad. This is actually a piece of a pad. I didn't feel bad when I cut up this $7 pad to make a sit pad. Now I wouldn't want to do that, of course, with a air pad, and of course it would take more effort to actually do it. But you can kind of do a couple of do-it-yourself project type things with some of these closed sail foam pads, so that's something you can think about. Also, another thing is this is actually these closed sail pads, they can actually be used as your structural support in some of the lightweight backpacks. That's something totally different, but it's just something to think about. So anyway, that's just kind of my breakdown and my variations of each pad. I hope it's something to kind of get you to think about things whenever you decide to go out and get a pad. And following up with this, I'll do a video and I'll kind of go over some of the differences and actually show you some of the pads that use the different sails, sort of. Alright, thank you for watching.